The summer of 2024 marked a turning point in Ukraine's air war, the long-awaited arrival of Western-supplied F-16 Fighting Falcons. These jets weren't just an upgrade, they were a symbol of Western resolve and a generational leap for a force that had relied on aging Soviet MiGs and Sukhois. With dozens of F-16s delivered and operational by early 2026, Ukraine gained advanced avionics, superior radar, and access to modern precision-guided munitions. Hopes soared that the F-16s would finally let Ukraine contest the skies, intercept Russian missiles and drones, and strike deep behind enemy lines. But integrating these jets into a brutal, high-intensity conflict proved far more complex than simply receiving new hardware. The real test would be how Ukrainian pilots and commanders adapted, forced to innovate under fire, as Western doctrines didn't fit the deadly contested airspace over their homeland. The F-16's impact would be defined not by its specs, but by the ingenuity of those who flew it. Ukrainian F-16 pilots quickly discovered that NATO tactics, built on the assumption of air superiority, didn't apply to their war. Unlike NATO, Ukraine lacked the luxury of uncontested skies, electronic warfare support, or airborne early warning. Instead, pilots faced one of the world's densest air defense networks and constant threats from Russian fighters and missiles. The result? Ukraine had to abandon the idea of dominating the airspace and instead focus on creating brief, local windows of opportunity for strikes or interceptions. Missions became high-risk, opportunistic and fleeting, nothing like the large, coordinated packages practiced in the West. This shift from dominance to survival and precision became the hallmark of Ukraine's F-16 operations. The most valuable weapon wasn't the jet, but the pilot's ability to adapt and outthink the enemy. Ukraine's air war became a test of creativity under fire. Transitioning from Soviet jets to the F-16 was a monumental challenge for Ukrainian pilots. They had to unlearn old habits and master a new digital cockpit, while training in technical English, a language few spoke fluently. Every procedure, warning, and tactic had to be absorbed in a foreign tongue, slowing learning and raising the stakes. Western simulators and peacetime airspace rules couldn't replicate the chaos and danger of real combat over Ukraine. The first missions back home became the true, final exam, where survival depended on rapid adaptation, not textbook answers. Pilots took what worked from Western training, but real tactics had to be invented in the crucible of war. The manual for fighting with F-16s in Ukraine was written in the sky, one mission at a time. Russia's air force outnumbers Ukraine's by roughly 14-1, with thousands of aircraft to Ukraine's few hundred, even after the F-16s arrived. Yet Russia has failed to achieve air superiority thanks to Ukraine's mobile, layered air defenses that have inflicted heavy losses and forced Russian pilots to stay cautious. Advanced Russian jets like the MiG-31BM and Su-35S still pose a constant threat, patrolling high and hunting for Ukrainian strike groups. Ukrainian F-16 missions are not about dogfights or sweeping the skies. They're about executing precise high-stakes objectives and surviving. Each sortie is a calculated risk, aiming to intercept missiles or strike key targets, then vanish before the enemy can react. It's a war of attrition and precision, where every flight counts. Ukrainian pilots abandoned NATO Doctrine and forged their own tactics to survive and succeed. Flying at extremely low altitudes, they used terrain to evade Russian radar, risking everything for stealth and surprise. Small formations act as both strike teams and decoys, baiting Russian missiles, drawing fire, and forcing the enemy to waste expensive munitions. The F-16 fleet is constantly on the move, dispersed across hidden airfields and even highways, making it nearly impossible for Russia to target them on the ground. These homegrown tactics, low flying, decoys, and mobility, aren't found in any Western manual. They reflect a deep understanding of the battlefield and a relentless drive to outsmart a stronger foe. By refusing to fight on Russia's terms, Ukrainian pilots have turned disadvantage into tactical advantage. In just over a year, Ukraine's F-16s have made a major impact, intercepting over 1,300 Russian cruise missiles and drones, and flying more than 1,600 ground attack sorties. They've destroyed hundreds of high-value Russian targets, from command posts to ammo depots, using Western precision munitions. These successes have forced Russia to change tactics, making their pilots more cautious and their strikes less accurate. The cost has been real: 4 F-16s lost in the first 10 months, each loss prompting new adaptations in tactics and survivability. Improvements in low-altitude flight and electronic countermeasures have since reduced losses, proving the value of rapid learning. Beyond numbers, the F-16s have boosted Ukrainian morale and injected uncertainty into Russian planning. They haven't won the air war, but they've prevented Russia from dominating the skies. The Falcons have become a symbol of resilience and a force multiplier on the battlefield. Despite tactical successes, Ukraine's F-16s are held back by shortages of Western precision munitions. Limited supplies force the jets to focus on air defense, while Russia ramps up its own production of standoff weapons. To unlock the F-16's full offensive potential, Ukraine needs a steady flow of advanced bombs and missiles. Future plans include possible transfers of Swedish Gripen fighters, which are well suited to Ukraine's mobile basing strategy. Long-term success depends on building domestic maintenance and training infrastructure. Relying on foreign facilities isn't sustainable. Keeping the Falcons flying will require not just tactical innovation, but strategic investment on the ground. The path ahead is as much about logistics and resilience as it is about air combat. Ukraine's F-16 story is a case study in modern air warfare, shattering old assumptions about air superiority. Ukrainian pilots have shown that a smaller, agile force can be effective without controlling the skies, if it adapts fast and fights smart. Their tactics, low-altitude flight, decoy formations and mobile basing, are now being studied by air forces worldwide. The war has proven that clever tactics and rapid learning can rival even the most advanced technology. Ukraine's ability to innovate under fire has been key to its resilience, offering lessons for larger, slower-moving militaries. The side that learns fastest holds the advantage, regardless of size or hardware. The F-16 hasn't won the war, but it's fundamentally reshaped it, keeping Ukraine in the fight and rewriting the rules of aerial combat. These hard-won lessons will shape military thinking for years to come.